Hello, I'm Sonya Ashley, the founder and CEO of Phallus on Purpose, where we support low-income single mothers, providing them with the resources and tools needed to aid and support their professional and personal development.
Hi.
Hi, Sonya. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, doing amazing. I can't complain. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome to the Boss Up Corner. Thank you so much for tuning in again on a Thursday night. We're back. We're back. And tonight we have a great, oh my goodness, I was just so excited all week, for this guest, for our special guest tonight. So we are just super excited, guys. Welcome to the Boss Up Corner, where we're all things boss, boss lady, boss life, boss up, just shining the light on some amazing entrepreneurs, just doing great things in our community. And we just want to shout out to them and just, show some love to our sisters in the community that's doing great and amazing things. So tonight we have a great, oh my goodness, guys. And as you come in, you know what to do. You know what to do. Drop the city and state you're at. And we're going to go ahead and dive right in. And tonight is going to be a little different. We're going to get to know all about our guest, Dr. Nicole Scott. Thank you so much for being a part of the Boss Up Corner. So tonight, yeah, we're gonna let her tell us, a little bit about what she does in the wealth space and the money plan. I think that's the name of her business, the money plan. So we thank you so much, Nicole, for being with us. You don't mind me calling you Nicole, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
Oh,
In certain scenarios, I'll tell people when to put the respect on the name. But no, I love you could just totally call me Nicole. So that's totally fine.
oh, definitely, definitely, yes. But thank you so much, sweetheart, for just being a part. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about Nicole.
A little bit about me. Born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Right now, I live kind of dually between Atlanta and Miami, so back and forth. I have been in the entrepreneur space probably for over 15 years now. I started in with a marketing background and got to a point where I wanted to serve at a deeper level and really leave a more of an impact with my time here on this earth. And that's when I started to gravitate more towards the financial industry, especially just for our communities and for women and for families, and just making sure that we're having the right tools and the right guidance and the right people around us to make sure that we're organizing these things for generational wealth. So just been very excited about that. I married. I have a 3-year-old. Well, he likes to say 3.5. So
Yes, make sure you don't forget the half.
three, he'll be like, no, 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 3.5. So, and it's the evening, so he might pop in on this. But usually he lets me get through my interview, but you might see his head in the corner. Yeah, and so that's in regards to me as far as my practice. Um, we focus on just really having an integrative approach to financial planning. So typically, people will try to focus on one area. They might just say, hey, I just want to focus on the risk management side, or I just want to focus on growing my money, or I just want to focus on investing. But if you don't integrate all those pieces together, then it could tilt the scale. And so you want to make sure that you're moving everything along in a holistic way. And that's really what our specialty is, coming from a bird's eye view, looking down over everything. What drives you as a person? What are the cultural specificities that you've gone through, right? Because there could be a beautiful plan that's put together,
Yes.
but if there are some things that might have happened childhood as far as how you view money, or if you have any toxic ways on how you look at money, you're still not going to follow the plan because there hasn't been any healing there. So we just take all of those things into consideration as far as generating a plan, and then making sure you have the right things in place too. So, sometimes, especially now, just when you see a lot of the money gurus talk and everything that's happening on social media, and it's a lot of quick money coming in and all these different things. everyone wants to talk about getting rich, and how do I get rich and what's the quickest way there? And sometimes, skipping past a lot of the foundational pieces makes that money that was so easy to come leave just as easy. And so, it's not the funnest to talk about it, but it's so necessary. And I try to make it as fun as possible, because what's more fun than knowing that you don't have to stress, or knowing that you don't have to worry, or that your babies have to worry, in that type of way. So that's just a little bit about my practice.
Awesome. And you said you're in between Atlanta and Miami. I did catch that because I'm from Miami originally.
Okay. All right. You're Dade County?
Yes, definitely. We grew up in Atlanta, but Miami is home.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes, but it's definitely, and I love this. I love what you're saying, like, just taking a different approach to money. And then some people not really understanding money or the dollar bill, and that's the good thing about with Fabulous on Purpose. We do offer, financial literacy. So this is perfect. It's just like right on time, we offer, our women, life skills development, financial literacy. And like you said, that's such a broad, when we say financial literacy, such a broad topic, is so many pieces to it. And that's what I say. It's so great because you have the budgeting, you have investment side, you have savings. So it's really, and I'm finding with myself, because that's one of my struggles, I'm just being honest. That was one of my struggles. So I was like, God, this is good. So when I started the organization and we plugged in, put the financial piece on it, because we want people to be able to, because if we're helping them as far as their personal and professional development, they need to understand money, how to save, how to budget, to come out of poverty, because that's our goal, to pull them out of. So I love it, and I'm just loving, the how you put it, a holistic approach to everything, because it starts with the mind. It's a mindset thing.
It very much starts with the mind, correct. And then also understanding how things were designed too. There's a lot of tools that we might not know about, and that could have been on purpose, right? Generations past, when you thought of the need of insurance, many of our great grandparents or grandparents didn't have a positive experience with insurance guy. The insurance guy came by in a suit and asked for his money, and then you never heard from him again, and all those different things. So so kind of getting over some of that lost trust in, some of the tools that can truly create generational wealth. And then just educating too, there's so many different ways that tools can be utilized, and new financial tools, right? So I had a call with a client the other day, and they were talking about, owning a lot of CDs. And remember, CDs used to be big, right? Like that was, like your grandmother would get you a CD, or that was like the thing. It was, and it made sense during that time based on the economy, but right now the nickname in the industry is certificates of depreciation, right? Because it doesn't stand the value of what it did, decades ago. And so recognizing that too. So I do a lot of multi-generational planning. It'll start with whoever wants to take the progressive move first, which might be the child. Then they bring in their parent. Then they're realizing, hey, my mother doesn't have her things aligned too, and they bring in the grandparent. And so I'm talking to multiple generations at a time. Or they have a child that's getting ready to be an adult, and they're wanting to start to bring them into the conversation, so they take the right steps. And when you're dealing with multi-generations, everyone is stuck on how money worked best for them and not how money works best now. And so there has to be a lot of, you have a younger generation that's talking about everything digital, right? Like money to our generation and beyond is very digital. It very rarely do we even see cash anymore. And then especially from the pandemic, there was signs everywhere that we no longer take cash. This is a cashless store. Where you have generations of past that can't even imagine money not being cash. So, there's a lot of continued education that has to be done, and figuring out how money works best now, right? How does it work best now, and how is it going to help you meet your goals per se? It's never really the money itself. When we're sitting down and talking to people, it's never the money itself. The money is a representation. I like to say that money is energy, and currency is energy, right? And so these are exchanges of things that you value, whether it be your time, whether it be security, whether it be financial freedom, peace of mind, whatever those things are. That's what you're really going for. And the money is the exchange tool to get to that. So, really understanding those things is very much a purpose too.
Yes. And how much would you say mindset play a role in wealth building?
Mindset is the foundation, right? So that, from a few different places. One, kind of recognizing where you might have suffered financial trauma or financial PTSD.
Yes. I can relate with that. As a child.
Yeah, most of us can. So if there was moments in time where something very tragic happened and you're as a child for you, and you relate that tragedy to finances, then that sits with you. And that comes and follows you into your adulthood. So you have to start to do that inner work on, let me see what I'm holding on to. Where am I on my money journey that my inner child is still very loud and making decisions, and not necessarily my adult version of myself when it comes to finances. So doing that deep work, I grew up with a very frugal mindset, which was important to my household, right? It was, like, if you don't come from a very wealthy family, then frugality is how you
survive.
It's how you make things happen. And so it started this time and place. But as I got older, I started to recognize I was shortchanging quality of life with frugality, right? Like, you start realizing you should have just bought the new car, because by the time you bought the lemon and you got it fixed 5 or 6 times, you spent more on that than the new car.
Exactly. Yes.
That's not an easy mindset to let go of. I have a lot of well-established clients that are six and 7-figure earners who still hold on to those mindsets. They still very much operate out of fear. They very much operate out of scarcity. They very much operate out of lack. And so we have to get to the root of some of that, because building wealth is you're going to take risk, right? You can manage those risks, and you can just determine what your risk tolerance is. But it's nothing out there that's going to be like, okay, well, it's 100%. The economy will stay perfect, and this will happen, and taxes won't go up, and inflation won't happen. Like, it's just a cycle that we're on. It's part of us participating in this world, right? And so you have to act out of a level of abundance. Like, you can't hoard money and hold on to it at this level, and you don't allow it to grow. You don't allow it to breathe. You don't allow it to do, things outside of you. Even
work for you. Yes.
Yeah. Even when I'm talking, when families are bringing their kids in, I'm like, just like how you teach them to save and how you teach them to earn, you also have to teach them how to give. Like, that's another mindset part that will take your child very far, because if they just know how to earn and just know how to save, then money, that's what makes money very materialistic, right? And so if you become very wealthy and you're passing on all this to your child, but you never developed into their give side, then this everything in life becomes transactional. And when everything is transactional, you're operating out of like a scarcity mindset.
Yeah, definitely. And I see, because I'm just now getting to the point where I'm able to say, because I would be the one, oh, I got to hold on, I got to save. No, I can't spend on that, but instead of now I'm realizing, okay, now I'm just sitting on this dollar. And now we're realizing that the dollar, like you said, it's depreciating. So now I'm like, okay, I need to, you're in the mindset. I'm trying to change my mindset of how can I, make this dollar work for me, or turn, flip this dollar, or, make more from what I have now.
And see, I also want to add to that too. That's when it comes time to bring in a professional too, right? Like we only know what we know, because we've touched money since we were young. Because if you go back to your earliest memories, you're going to have memories of money. And so because you've touched it since you were young, you feel like you know money. But there's so many different levels and tools and ways of making these tools talk to each other that will optimize what it is you're trying to do. And that's when it's like, okay, let me find a wealth professional that has a teaching spirit, that can I trust, and that can help me put a plan together. That's kind of where I came up with the money plan, put a plan together to optimize this, right? So when it comes to like your financial trajectory, your financial plan, there's areas that you cannot control as much as you want to. And that's like health, you can optimize your health, but you can't control some things that the body's going to do. That's taxes, that's inflation, right? That's out of our control. We like to think it's in our control. It could be death. We saw quite a lot of that through the pandemic. These areas that are out of our control. And so what you want to do is start to work with someone to insulate yourself, to get tools to insulate yourself from those things happening. And that could be making sure you have the proper insurances. That could be making sure that all your money is not just sitting in checking and savings. That could be making sure that you have a long-term trajectory to what it is that you're trying to do. Understanding those different things, using life insurance as a way to plan for any of those things. That's where wealth transfer has happened a lot, right? So during the pandemic, most of our community was underinsured. A lot of our community did not have wills in place. They did not have any type of estate planning. They didn't have a lot of things that are necessary to make sure that generational wealth can continue. Things outside of our regular scope, right? We know how to budget. We know, we need help, or sometimes somebody has to stay on top of us, but we know those things. We know we got to get our credit together, right? And many of us have taken the step to do so. But then there starts to become some of those more complex tools that's really needed to really insulate yourself from these uncontrollables that you can't move the needle on one way or the other. So understanding that and surrounding yourself around a true money team that has your best interest in mind is invaluable.
Yes. I definitely agree. And you said something key as far as fear. I think with a lot of people, it is that fear, getting over that fear of, oh, they're just trying to take my money. So I think that's it. But I definitely feel, and I'm learning that sometimes you have to bring in that professional, because I'm at that point. I'm like, look here, I'm gonna try. It's because the discipline, and it takes that discipline. But then sometimes it's hard to just, you'll start off and I'm excited, I'm saving, I got this budget in place. But then, if you don't have that discipline, then every time, you just keep falling off. So that's where accountability come in. Just having an accountability partner. You can look at it that way, so that is definitely, for me, I know that is key and is needed. So that when you hit the nail on the head, when you said that, that's when it's time to bring in a professional to definitely help you.
And one thing that we do in our firm is we make sure that every dollar has an assignment, right? So what happens is, and this will, some of you might understand that are watching, it depends what generation you're in. But I feel like me and you, Sonya, we could talk about it. So do you remember when you were a child, right? And let's say you had a $20 bill and you hated to break that $20 bill. It was like you, as soon as you got the 20, maybe for your birthday or whatever, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm not buying that. I don't want to break it for that, and I'm definitely not gonna break it for gum or a bag of chips. It's got to really be something worth it." But as soon as you break that $20 bill, by the time you get home,
it's gone.
Yeah, the whole thing is gone on the most random stuff. You buying chips, you extra cheese on your burger, you know, and that's why I said I'm talking to our age group, the other age groups. Y'all gonna have to just keep them on. But yeah, so it's the same with your money though. This concept is multi-generational. It'll cross over to anyone, but if you're bringing in all this revenue, you're bringing in this income, and it has no assignment to it.
Yes.
Next thing you know, Amazon Prime is making multiple stops to your house every week. You are eating. You are spending $3,000 a month on going out to eat. It's all these. You're giving money away to all these family members, right? With any boundaries in place, and then you get to the end of the year. And you're like, where did all my money go?
Yes.
And that is so not only just from the accountability, but you got to start aligning your dollars with your goals. If the goal is to purchase a house in 2 years, ask yourself, hey, do I just keep giving money out to all family members without a purpose? Or I can actually get property, and they might, I might be able to have my little cousin come stay with me now, or I might be able to really help and not enable, in some of those environments. Or if your goal is to make sure you put your child through college, and you're spending all these things on things that they won't even use now. If you have a vehicle, let's say like a 529 account, or you do, like a UGMA account for them or something like that, a vehicle where you're putting money, then you don't even have, the money's already being directed to a place of purpose. So you don't even have to depend on your discipline, because everyone's discipline is going to wane. Like that's just human nature. You do great. All of us could be doing great on our diet plan, and then one day you're gonna be like, listen,
I'm gonna cheat a little bit today.
I'm getting a cheesecake. I'm getting my burger. I need some grease. Don't judge me. I don't care what you say. Like your discipline only can get you so far. So that's when you start aligning. It's like, where am I putting dollars into a brokerage account? Am I putting dollars into a 529? Am I putting dollars into a defense strategy for my money? And then in a few years, you're like, oh my gosh, like I feel great. These things have worked. They have accumulated. I have used the power of compound interest, whatever those things are, they're there. But if you don't, everything will take all your money. It's always something. It was a meme that I saw on Instagram that said, I did not know it costs $200 a day just to walk outside. That is the truth.
Yes.
Like the best thing about the pandemic when everyone was quarantining was how much money they saved.
Yes.
As soon as the doors opened back up, everyone was like, oh my gosh, I don't remember outside being so expensive. Yes. Distractions are marketed and designed to use.
Yes.
You have to be very focused on making sure you employ your dollars to work just as hard as you are.
Yes, every dollar must have an assignment. I love that. We need to drop that in the chat. Every dollar must have an assignment. I love that. So when it comes to finance, do you feel women, do you find that women deal with more than men?
Yeah, it's because I have quite a lot of women clients, or women who take the CFO role in the home. And there's a few things, especially when I'm speaking to a group of women, that I like to bring up and just make sure that we're very aware of. One, how divorce can affect people financially, right? Or how divorce can affect women financially. Many times when I'm sitting down with people, they're very quick to say, well, my husband takes care of the numbers. My husband is the finance person, or ask my husband about this. And I'm like, hey, you guys got to get in there together. You don't know what the future holds. I have one of my friends, her great aunt, they did very, very well. the husband passed, she didn't even know where to begin on the finances. Like how all the bank accounts, what was in everyone's name, what she need to do. Like she was paralyzed in fear, and we had to go help her, just kind of organize things. And people look at that as maybe like older generations do that, but it's too many younger. It's all generations where people are want to throw the numbers off on someone else. And so I say whoever is the best at doing money in the household, they should take the lead. But
Yes.
everyone in the household needs to be aware of it. And even soon, you need to start bringing your kids into it.
Yes.
For women that are possibly thinking of divorce or who have been divorced, you organizing your finances is so key, because you are your lifeline. You're the breadwinner of the household. So making sure that you have things in place that protect your income, whether that's like disability or other tools, to make sure that nothing can throw you off of your trajectory of what you're doing. Making sure that you understand what assets you have in your name, how you're utilizing those assets, how those assets can be properly passed down to your children, a lot of different things. And you need to know everything that's in your name. You need to know what needs to come out of your name. I mean, and the thing of the nature is too, when divorces aren't pretty or amicable, people start to get very spiteful. There's a lot of damage that can be done financially. And so if you align things prior to, or just make sure everyone's on the same accord with finances, then you could keep it from being so devastating on the financial side. Another thing too, just as far as women in the pandemic, the amount of what women had to bear as far as like virtual schooling, which is coming back in certain areas. I just read in the news the other day that different parts of Atlanta are going to do virtual until the variant comes back down some.
Yeah.
Typically, which parent stays home?
Yeah. The mothers.
Cases, it's the women. And what does that mean if you don't have a remote job? If you can't work from home, if you can't hop on Zoom, I thank God every day. Everyone says, I'm so tired of Zoom. I thank God every day I can get on Zoom.
I love it. Yeah. I got addicted to it.
It allows me to be a very working mom, and feel like after this Zoom, I'm going right downstairs, reading me and my son, we're eating, we're going to read our storybook. I don't have to drive across town and, all those different things, but taking into account what women are bearing financially through the pandemic. Also too, there are the numbers of women being single are just very higher, right? And so use that moment or that time to be empowered. Like, how can you make your best financial decisions for you, for your child, whoever? Like, gone are the times where you have to wait for Prince Charming, or you need someone else to put things in place. You can now take the reins, and you can get very, very creative. I read an article the other day. You can tell I read a lot. Read an article the other
which is awesome.
That a lot of single mothers like across the nation are joining forces and getting into triplexes and quadplexes and splitting, lowering their cost of living, still having ownership in it. Like four mothers will come together, purchase a quadplex, still have their ownership in it, and heavily bring down the cost of living. There's a lot of ways of creativity with that in that time. So just empowering yourself, creating your investment groups. There's a ton of women investment groups. I love to see it. Like, buying property together, doing other things together, pooling their money together. It's a beautiful thing, in that space. So that, and then lastly, I would say, the wealth gap still very much affects women. And even though there's been areas of progression, it's still there. It's still very much there. And so always reminding women to definitely demand what you're worth. You're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for all the women that come behind you. Making sure that we're talking to each other, we're normalizing talks about money, we're normalizing talks about salaries, we're normalizing, what did you pay for your house? Because if I move in the same neighborhood and I might not be as savvy with real estate as you are, I shouldn't be paying $40,000 more than you did when we could have had this moment of women to woman connection, and you gave me some advice on how you got your property, value lower, or whatever you did to make sure that you saved 40,000 in your transaction. But just being in that space of women really being able to help women, because there are some inadequacies that exist in our society that we cannot ignore.
Yes.
And those are things that truly affect women.
Yes, and I think with the pandemic, it really caused women in particular. I'll say, because I just seen a rise in like entrepreneurship, women, business owners, and I was just like amazed. Like it really pushed people to a point where they had to get creative. You had to just figure things out, and then sometimes that just pushed them into business ownership and into. So I said the pandemic, for me, I tell people it was a blessing for me. And I knew from others, and I said from others, I know it wasn't, but it really, because even for me, it thrust me, into really just pushing the organization forward. And I love it. Like you said, I just love to see women, we're working together. What would you say, like 3 of the top things single moms, or not just single moms, does anyone need to create a legacy for their family? What would you say? And I know we're going a little over, but we're going to wrap it
up. But 3 things that's excellent. 1, making sure you have a will, right? You can have the best intentions for what you want to do with everything that you worked your life to achieve. But if it's not in proper documentation, the state can take ownership, family members can fight over things and sell things because they can't get along or make a decision. There's a lot of things that happens when we don't have the proper paperwork in place. So that's 1. Having life insurance, right? Like that is a mandatory. No more GoFundMe accounts. No more any of those things. And then even understanding like the living benefits of life insurance. Googling that and just exploring that more. Like what are some of the other opportunities in regards to using life insurance as a tool for wealth building. I would definitely say 3, involving the next generation in financial conversations as soon as possible. Like my son is 3, and I told you we have a giving jar, a savings jar, and an earning jar. And so we started the giving jar very early in life, so he gets the concept of this, because many times we give money too much power, and you hold on to it. And so when you can kind of teach those things earlier in life, it's not just about how much money you leave to the next generation if the mindset isn't there. So, so those would be some of the 3 things.
I love it. I love that. And that is key, just teaching our kids now, because I know for me, growing up, I didn't really get that. So that's what said it affects you later in life when you're dealing with money, saving and investing, and then your kids come along, you're trying to take care of your kids. So it's definitely, it's the earlier the better. The earlier the better to start them, learning about saving, giving, and like you said, saving, giving, earnings. I love that, the savings jar, the givings jar, the earnings. That is just neat. That's really neat. And and that's something I can put in place for my grandbaby. Yes, she's 5, and that's something definitely we can. And like you said, the earlier the better to start them. So, oh my goodness, this has been a wealth of information. I mean, you are you are phenomenal, and I mean, it's just, and I know it's so much more we could talk about. We can go into. We would love to have you back. Love to have you back on the show, so we can dive in a little more about wealth building. And just strategizing and just help, because that is just dear to my heart, just really just trying to help people just get into the mindset of just trying to change that mindset of just poverty to trying to pull themselves up out of poverty, but understanding how to do that as well, because we need to start now, because to be able to pass that along to the next generations to come. So definitely. So I appreciate you. And we want to shout out to everyone who's been, all our viewers. We thank you so much for joining us.
No, she's awesome. I see her comments. So yay.
Yes, you see her, and everyone that's joined on. We appreciate you, Jasmine, Brittany, all the ones who's been dropping comments. We appreciate you. And we thank Dr. Scott for coming on. We appreciate you, Dr. Nicole Scott.
My website too.
Yes, ma'am.
The comments, but it's themoneyplaninc.com, themoneyplaninc.com. So if you're interested in doing like a financial consultation, then definitely reach out to me. Sometimes there's this stereotype that you have to already be, a billionaire before you can work with someone. But just the same as you're going to a gym, you don't go to a gym when everything's already perfect. You go to a gym when you want to start getting those things together. So definitely feel free to reach out to me. Connect with me on Instagram. It's Dr. Garner Scott, just like in my title. And I look for, and I talk back a lot. So if you have questions, you can slide into my messages and I'll answer questions for you. And I look forward to connecting. I love what Fabulous on Purpose stands for. I love what you're doing, Sonya, with these types of talks, and us continuing to normalize these type of talks is just very important.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So this is perfect. And her information, Dr. Scott's information is on the screen, themoneyplaninc.com. Make sure you visit the website. Any way we could support, and make sure you stay connected to her. Instagram, Facebook, your Facebook as well. Facebook, the website. Definitely make sure you stay connected. And this is something we want to, like and share this information, share it with your friends and family. Because this is something that's needed. It's very much needed, in our community. So we want to share this information, and we appreciate you coming on. So the money plan, make sure you stay connected. We have the information on the screen. And thank you guys for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Any last comments?
No, I just want to congratulate everyone who took this evening to show up for yourself, for your family, for your bloodline, for your household, for your community. It's beautiful. And it was great. It was great talking with you, Sonya.
Great talking with you as well. And I hope you guys took notes. And as always, remember, you are fabulous on purpose. And we will meet you right back here next week, same time, same place. You guys have a great night. We love you. Bye-bye.